Hello and welcome to June Bloom, beautiful Huntington Beach, California. I'm Mark Christopher, and I'd like to share another message. This one I've entitled, "Who Are You?" Back when I was growing up, there was a band called The Who from England, and they, had some great albums. Who's Next? We always loved those songs and that music. They did a song called "Who Are You?" and it's repeated over and over and over in the song. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you in this situation? Who are you in that situation? Who the heck are you? And so that's my question today, and that's what I've decided to talk about. And so, who are we? Who do we think we are? Who do we say we are to ourselves? What's our perception of ourselves? This is something we need to consider because sometimes it can be deceiving what we think we are and who we are by our actions and our words we speak. And so let's dive right into it. Some people look at themselves as very loving and caring people. They say, I care about, the environment. I care about, equal rights for, homosexuals, for women, for, African Americans. Everybody's held down, and I'm for this. I'm a very kind person. I'm very thoughtful. This is what I believe. I'm accepting of others and everything they do. I don't judge others. I allow them to be themselves. And they say, this is who I am. I am this person, that I believe in my heart. And they really do. They really believe this is who they are. And there's other people that you ask them, they'll say, oh, I'm very aggressive. Oh, I have to be, number one all the time in any situation, in any opportunity I find myself in. I'm going to be the one who comes in first. I'm going to be the one that whatever I can take, I'm going to take it, because I'm aggressive. This is who I am, I'm going to become powerful. People are going to fear me. People are going to say, whoa, look at that guy. Wow, And they look at themselves that way, and they say, I'm the alpha dog, and they walk around and they present that image, and they, believe in, all that stands for, and all that, and how they participate in life, and how they act, and how they perceive themselves, and how they act towards others. And they say, this is who I am, I'm the number one, and that's the perception of who they are, And other people, they say, well, I'm brilliant. I understand everything. I figure things out. I don't just jump to conclusions, but I make very clear assessment of the things that I hold dear, and I can back everything I say with evidence, and I can prove who I am by the things I stand for and the things I say. And that's what they believe. They know everything. They're very innovative, and there's a good sides to this and everything. Yeah, I'm innovative, and I'm a forward thinker, and all of these things. And that's what I am. I'm brilliant. I know truth, and I know, and I have an understanding. And then there's others, they'll gravitate to a faith, and they'll say, I'm a Christian. I that's who I am. I believe in God. I hold to the principles of Christ. I believe those. Those are the things that, I stand for. When it comes to debate, I'm going to stand for the things of God. I embrace His teachings. I believe in them with all my heart, and this is who I am. I'm a Christian. You can see, look at me. I go to church. I have a Bible. This is who I am. And so, people say this is who I am, for many different reasons. But lots of times these are just conceptions we have in our mind. We look to an ideology, we look to a concept, we look to something and say, you know, that's me. You know what I mean? That's who I am. That's the kind of person I am. I like that ideology. I like what it stands for. I believe in it. And you know what? This is me. This is who I am. And they'll say, you know, and they begin to, you know, believe that in their minds. And they come to believe that, and they say, this is who I am. You know, but the truth is that, you know, we say this is who we are in conception, but in reality, many times it doesn't play out in our life. You know, there's people who say, you know, I'm very loving and accepting, and they say, you know, I'm accepting and caring and loving, and I believe in these concepts and I hold them dear, you know. But then, you know, if they disagree with a certain way of lifestyle and living, if they disagree with a certain thing, they are not so loving and embracing of others' differences. They're very angry and very judgmental and very serious about the fact that they don't like that and they are against that, and they'll stand against that if they have to, and they'll do anything they have to stand against that because they don't believe in that. You know, all of a sudden, you know, this loving and caring conception is out the window, and these people are angry and hateful and turn to violence. You know, that's not being who you claim to be, who you think you are. You know, and the very aggressive people say that's who I am, and I'm not gonna, you know, settle for anything less. And then someone stronger than them comes along, and someone more aggressive than them comes along, and all of a sudden, you know, they cower and they're running away with their tails between their legs, you know, because somebody's more powerful than them. All of a sudden, they're not this alpha dog. They're, you know, a little sissy running away, hiding, you know. And, you know, we think we are these things in our mind, and yet we don't prove them out in our lives. And so we have to ask ourselves, is this who I am? You know, these brilliant people that come to all understandings, these scientists, these brilliant people, you know, they understand, you know, the way things are, and they understand, and they, you know, rocket scientists, and these are brilliant, brilliant people. But then, you know, God forbid they don't agree with something like creation, and they want to lean to beliefs like Darwinism that has absolutely no basis of truth or standing in it. Not one fossil has ever been discovered in the history of humanity, you know, that would make this plausible theory, great idea, true. But they hold to it, and they'll say, you know, this is true, and I believe in it, and they're brilliant. But in their mind, they just disagree with something, and they will throw away all of their brilliant understanding and say, you know, I just believe Darwinism because I don't dare try to believe that other thing. I'm opposed to it. So, you know, how brilliant are they? And Christians, you know, I embrace the doctrines of Christ until, you know, I don't want to do it. Until these things, you know, oh, well, I don't want to live that way. You know, I want to live this way. And so, yeah, I'm a Christian, you know, but I'm going to live this way and do this and act like that, you know. Are you? You know, are we these things that we hold up and embrace and say, this is who I am? You know, who are we when the day comes to an end? Who are we? What are we? We need to look in the mirror, you know, and talk to that handsome, beautiful person and say, hey, what's up? And say, who are you? You know, who am I? Who am I? Who am I becoming? Who have I become? I know I have these thoughts in my mind of who I want to be and who I think I am, but in reality, who am I? You know, our actions and our affections speak more to the fact of who we are than anything. And so that's a real good gauge to begin this question, you know, who am I? You know, So let's look into this, and at the homework at the end will be, yeah, go to that mirror, talk to that, handsome devil or that beautiful angel and say, who are you? Okay, actions. All right, we are here in Surf City, and what could be more awesome to watch than these guys that are surfing? I mean, these are passionate people. I've been out here for the last, year in Huntington Beach. I get out at 5 in the morning to 6 in the morning, and I'm praying because I can get carried away in prayer. It's me and Jesus, and I'm singing worship, and I don't care who sees me. I have my hands raised up in the air with my eyes closed, weeping sometimes. Jesus, and I'm praying. I'm rebuking evil. I'm telling the devil to go to hell, and I'm screaming, and I'm on the beach. No one can hear me. I'm far enough away from the pier, so no one can hear me. Thank God. I don't want to be that guy, but I don't care if people think of me that way. But these guys are out there at 5 in the morning, and they hit the waves, and they are surfing, and they love it. They hit these waves. They're 10-footers. They come down. They crash. Look like they break their neck. They pop back up, swim back out. And then there's the windsurfers. I mean, California, this is where it's all at, right? These windsurfers, they got their surfboards, and they have this kite kite surfers, and they have this kite, and these gigantic kites, and the wind is so brutal down here sometimes, and they will catch the wind in this kite and get on a surfboard, and they'll hook their feet in, I guess, and they just take off from one end of the beach to the other, hitting giant wave after giant wave, and they don't just go through the wave, but they cut through the top of it, hang on to that kite, and they skyrocket 10, 15 feet above the wave, and they come crashing down. They keep going with this kite full of wind. I don't know what speeds they're hitting, but absolutely exciting to watch, And the funniest thing I've seen is the guys that have the hang gliders, and they have, I don't know where they start. These guys are crazy. They they um, they have a fan on their back or some kind of thing that pushes the wind, and they're up there going from one end of the beach to the other, suspended in air on a kite, being pushed along by a breeze. The wind that they create, I've never seen such a thing. It's like a little plane, flying up in the air, but it's just a guy. It's crazy. But it's, fun to watch. But these guys, you know, you ask them, who you are. Dude, I'm a surfer dude, How's that thing go? I'm a surfer dude. That's what I do. When I got here 10 years ago, for the first 5, 6 years, I would go out with the Orange County Hiking Club, or whatever they call themselves, and we would do all the big peaks, because I love mountain climbing, and they would call it hiking, and they would trying to get ready for Whitney every year, to climb Whitney. I never did that, but, we'd do these 11,000, 12,000 plus, mountains, and it's hairy up there. You can't stay up there too long. You get elevation sickness. It's not simple, And mountain bikers would be up there as you get to the top, and they'd be flying by you, coming down like, the guy rode his bike up here. It's crazy. But these people are passionate. And then you see, of course, the motorcycle enthusiasts and the classic car enthusiasts, and they're out here. And the classic car guys, they all have the shirts, old guys rule, which I, have to agree with now. and the motorcycle guys, born to be wild, all that, and this is who they are, this is one aspect, of who they are, and it's very easy to see, looking at what they do. And some people say, I'm into yoga, into fitness, and you see them, they are passionate and they are focused. They go to India, and they're understanding the concepts, of this religion, and they're taking yoga to heart, and, namaste, hey, what's up? I was involved in that for years. I love that. What a great feeling afterwards, being in that kind of physical fitness, and and I did hot yoga for years in Cambridge and Massachusetts, and then here a little bit. And it's invigorating, and these people are very passionate about it, and then there's the people that are into the vegans, and they are against any kind of meat, and they are so passionate, and this is who I am. I'm a vegan, and this is what I believe in, and they, don't want you to kill animals. They're people too, And here I know dogs are people too, because we saw them do some surf, and cats are people too. And family and pets do become family members, and they are people. You see the devastation loss, some animals are meant to be eaten, and so that's just my opinion. And so others are into spirituality, and they don't care what it is as long as it's spiritual, and it's fun and exciting to be involved in and to imagine these great things. And people are saying, that's who I am, and saving the planet, and against global warming and all these things, and their whole life, and they become very vehement in their organizations they're involved in, and this is who I am, and you can tell by what people are involved in, who they really are. That's one of the ways to gauge that view, And of course, the Bible does say the earth is going to wax old like a garment. It's not going to live forever. Global warmings is a sign of she's getting old, and it's not going to last forever, which should make us think might be a good time to turn to God and understand God's principles, because this isn't going to be around forever. There is going to be a time, and so that's what you see with global warming. You see, the Bible says it's going to wax old like a garment, just like a person gets old and dies. So does the planets. So that's what you're seeing when you're seeing all this going on. And then there's, what we stand for: honesty, family, goodness, revenge, division, different things. These things show who we are. Our goals: make more money, have more stuff, be happier, be fulfilled. These paint a picture of who we really are. Views of success: great job, great house, great car, being powerful, in control. These things paint a picture of who we are, and so these things really do show us, what we are becoming and who we are becoming and who we are, and what I am is presented in these things. Our actions speak louder than words do. Your actions, the things you do, speak louder than your views and conception of who you are. They speak louder, and you should look in the mirror. We should look in the mirror and say, who are you? Who am I? These are my actions and my affections. Is this me? Is this who I am becoming? Is this who I've become? It's like, it can be enlightening, Oh, I always thought I was this person and this person, but this is what I do, and this is what I'm involved in, and this is what I believe, and wow. Have I become something other than what I believe? Have I been fooled into believing that this is what it is and it's not? Because that's what it is, And so it's different for all of us. My conceptions are so different from yours and someone else's. God made us that way, made us different. We have different viewpoints. We have different actions, different desires. We're different. And God made us this way. And that's the beauty of life, and the beauty of people. It's diversity. God made us as individuals. We're not puppets, made to all act a certain way, We're all different. And we all, are supposed to reveal part of God in a different way. As we become believers and begin to understand God, God pours His life through us, and it sounds differently coming out of each person. But the precepts and the standards all hold the same. We're different. We shouldn't all sound the same. We shouldn't all act the same, And so I love it, We're different in our upbringings. Some people are well off. Some people struggle. It's a very different way to be brought up, affluent, silver spoon, desperate, struggling for money, place to live. Very different way of growing up. your place of birth, New England, down south, out west, northwest, up Midwest, it's different, very different way of growing up, different way of seeing things, different way of seeing life. And so I love diversity. But I think, one of them is age. People look at young people, oh, you don't know anything, and, they just so quick to write them off. But I'm not like that. I see young people and I'm like, man, when it comes to technology, thank God for, kids. Hey, how do I figure this out? What's a tweet? That's something the bird did. What's a friend? I thought a friend was something that, you hung out with, It's like, I don't understand this. And so, youth, they have insight, into different things and they have different ideas. And then there's race, there's so much diversity in race. It's wonderful, I love the differences in race and the things they bring to the table, and I love music that they bring and the different things from their societies. I also, difference in cultures, really is something to embrace. I love the differences in food. I'm Irish, and so, I love corned beef and cabbage. I love, you know, all that stuff. I'm from New England, so I love, baked haddock, and I love, fish, lobster. But after spending time down south, I tell you, I love barbecue and I love that yellow chili sauce. And after coming out here to California, go to Sancho's Tacos, there's nothing like a surf and turf burrito. So, you know, you cultures have so much to offer in so many different ways, and that's who we are. It's diversity, and there's something really, good about that. But some differences are good, and some differences are not so good. And so I want to look at a couple of scriptures in the Bible and talks about contrasting characters, and they call these are, basically good and bad in so many different ways and so many different avenues. And so the first one I want to talk about is the Good Samaritan. We read of the Good Samaritan in the Bible and everyone's like, yeah, I want to be that guy. It's a picture of someone who came along and they were beaten and left for dead. And this one guy comes by, and he's supposed to be this holy guy. And he walks right by, can't be bothered. And this next guy walks by, he's supposed to be intelligent and, smart. And he can't be bothered and walks by. And this next guy walks by, and they call him the Samaritan, which is kind of looked down upon. And he sees this person, and he's touched in his heart. And he says, you know what? I'm going to help this guy. Brings him over, pays money for him to be taken care of, says, if it's any more, when I come back, I'll pay you more. And, Jesus says, who was a friend of this guy? And it was the Good Samaritan, And so, the Pharisee, of course, thought he was a great man of God. The other guy thought he was great. But were they, And the Samaritan was thought to be nothing, but boy, he sure turned out to be the good guy. And so it can be deceiving what we think in our minds, what is good and bad. Then there's the Good Shepherd. The Bible talks about King David, being the Good Shepherd. And Jesus comes and says, I am the Good Shepherd. And he begins to explain that in detail. And he says, the Good Shepherd, when the sheep are threatened, he'll run over and he'll defend them at the cost of his own life. He'll take that shepherd rod and he'll start beating that lion in the head or scaring that bear away, But it says the hireling and that it's just a job for him. And in his regard, he's not one bit concerned about that sheep. And he's going to let that sheep go get eaten because he's going to protect himself. And so he's going to hide in the sheep pen with the rest of them and say, okay, go ahead, lion, eat all you want. Just don't touch me. And, Jesus said, I'm the good shepherd. I came to give my life, or risk my life, for the sheep. And there's another picture of two different contrasting characters. One of them says, yeah, I'm a shepherd, I'm protecting these sheep, and the first chance that he's threatened, he goes and runs for his own life. And the other one says, I'm going to stand and defend them at the risk of my own life. So which one was the good shepherd? The other guy going to his work that morning thought, look at me, I'm such a good shepherd, I'm going and I'm protecting those sheep. But was he a good shepherd? In reality, no, he wasn't. Hireling, ran away. Just like the Pharisee and the other guy. Yeah, I can't be bothered. They claim to be one thing, but in reality they weren't. And then there's the publican and the Pharisee. Jesus comes into wherever that was, temple, wherever, and the publican is on his knees saying, God forgive me, I'm such a sinner, and he's hitting his chest saying, God, I'm such a bad sinner, forgive me, I've sinned, I'm sorry, And, these two are coming to the altar and, asking God to forgive them. And then the Pharisee comes walking in and looks down, at that guy, and he says, and he goes into the prayer and he goes, oh God, I'm glad I'm not like him. Look at me, God. I try to do what you do and ask you to. And Jesus talked to the Pharisees and says, you're hypocrites. You talk one way, but you act another. And you should be the one down here banging your chest saying, forgive me. But you don't. And you mock this other guy who's doing it. Jesus says, the two of them went away. And the Pharisee wasn't justified. His sins went back with him. But the publican, he was forgiven because he, went there and was repenting, what the Pharisee did, that wasn't repenting. And some people say, oh, I believe in God and, this and that. And, but do you? Do you repent from evil actions? Or you just continue in them thinking, oh, I'm justified. This happened to me and this is just the way it goes. Yeah, I can lie and get away with it. Oh, well, no one will know. No one sees. I'm a hypocrite. Yeah, so what? So what? No one knows. No one can see. No one in church can see. And who cares what God thinks, really? And then there's the wise virgins and the unwise, and then the picture of get ready, the bridegroom's coming, you got to be ready when he's getting here. Put oil in your lamp so you can follow him, it's the picture of being ready, for Christ's return. If you're a Christian, be ready all the time. You never know when, it's going to be time, anything could happen. And half of them are like, yeah, we're ready, we got our oil, we're ready. And the other ones are like, yeah, there's plenty of time, we'll get to that, we'll just kind of chill out and relax now. Not really, what's all this urgency, And it says that bridegroom came, okay, let's go. And 5 of them got in and 5 didn't, and it's like, God again has shown us good and bad and good and bad and good and bad. And lots of the times Jesus is showing these in parables, and he's showing that there's a spiritual understanding here, and there's an eternal consequence for these things, which is clearly played out in this last one, the sheep and goats. Oh, I'm sorry, these all have scriptures to them, I didn't read them. In Matthew 25, the sheep and goats. These people all say, oh, I'm caring and I'm concerned, and as they stand before Jesus, he separates them and he says, you guys, when I was hungry and thirsty, you gave me stuff. And they're like, what are you talking about? We never saw you, when you did it to the least, you did it to me. And he says to the goats, you never did that to me. And they're like, we never saw you. And they go, well, you didn't do it to the least, you didn't do it to me. And they're like, what? What? Say what? Say what, Willis? And so they don't make the grade. They're the bad ones and the other ones are the good ones, and they are thrown into the lake of fire, which burns with brimstone. So this is something we need to understand. Negative actions have negative consequences to them, and Are we really the people we portray? Are we really these nice people that we claim to be, that we think we are, that we say, this is who I am, I'm caring and thoughtful and understanding? You know, our country is experiencing a lot of evil behavior right now. And last Sunday, people were bused from LA into Huntington Beach. Huntington Beach, innocent beachside resort, wouldn't hurt a fly, people enjoying themselves, just being cool, hanging out, not bothering anyone, not doing anything. Nothing's happened here that would require any retaliation whatsoever from anyone on this planet. And yet the organizers of this, hateful, violent, angry group says, let's bust into Huntington Beach and let's break up the joint. Let's smash windows. Yeah, don't forget your bricks. And they started busing people in, okay? Busing people in from LA to Huntington Beach with the sole desire to go through the place as a mob and create destruction. Are you kidding me? And if you ask these people, yeah, we hold to principles of goodness. We believe, in rights for these people who are being held down, and we stand up for them. Yes, we are liberal in our way of thinking. We are humanistic viewpoint of life. Yeah, this is who we are. We're all for this type of behavior, And they find themselves in the middle of this, breaking windows, here they are, all the shops boarding up, their windows for fear of this. And they came in and they were in here and I've just seen videos, my friends there, on top of these buildings, taking these videos. And I'm telling you, these police and SWAT gear protecting our fun, beautiful, cute little community. I'm talking wicked, evil, just unruly mob trying to wreak havoc, and then at the end of that, and the police did such a great job, so understanding and yet strong in their, defense, which they should have been. My friend has the words that these people are speaking. They're communicating to each other on these phones. They are this, movement. I forget what the name of it all is, but they said at one point, forget the city. Let's start going into all the neighborhoods and taking what is rightfully ours. Can you believe this? These people, these organizers, sent this mob from from downtown when they found out they weren't having any success into the streets and into the homes and the neighborhoods of these wonderful people, that friends of mine, and forcing them, to defend their property, forcing them to go inside, some of these guys, I hate to say it, but they, pulled their guns out, dusted them off, and said, I better have this ready, in case I'm attacked and someone comes in here. These people have guns. These people have, weapons, all kinds of weapons. They are here to take. They went into the streets of Huntington Beach, started taking things, walking away, got on their buses and left, threatening to do it again. You're not what you claim to be, if you say that you are just, for these people and for this group, that's not peaceful. That's not liberal. You're not caring. You're not, standing up for injustice, You're fooling yourselves. You're involved in hate. Get it? Innocent families, Huntington Beach having to put up with this, the police and SWAT team having to have their lives threatened, these owners boarding up shops just so their windows don't get broken and everything. People driving out of car dealerships in New York City with $300,000 Rolls Royces, grand, theft, auto. I mean, grand theft. Things they're doing and getting away with. Yeah, look at us. Look what we're doing, you know. They're not standing for anything. They're hoodlums, thieves. They're violent, and they're angry. And this is what they stand for. These organizers are all about it. And this is who you are if you stand for them. You know, you're not this loving, peaceful person that you perceive. And you should take a look in the mirror and say, you know, who am I? You know, take a real good look and say, you know, have I become, you know, this evil thing that, you know, is being portrayed today? Is this who I am? And so God created us much differently from that, you know. You know, we were born to be sons and daughters of God. We were born to walk in that kind of love, that kind of, you know, peace, that kind of, you know, understanding. And so this is who we are in our nature. We're not the type of people that are called to, you know, to hate and violence. You know, we're called to love and appreciation and that kind of understanding, you know, and that's what it's all about. It's not about hate. It's not about these different things. We're called to act like Jesus, you know, to declare God's power. If we're Christians, we're here to declare God's power and His authority. You know, that's how the book of Acts was. That's the church. You know, I don't know what's going on now with the church, but that's the church. We live for God. We cry out to God. We see God move in our lives, changing us, transforming us. We see our prayers answered. You know, we experience the power of God moving through us, and then we take that into the lives of others and pray for others, and we see the book of Acts, the glory of God move. That's the church, you know. And Billy Graham was great. You know, he was an evangelist. He had such an experience. Remember, he had that experience where he was born again and he came to believe it in his heart. No one was going to take that out of him, you know, and he could back it up with the word of God. And that was his message. And he went everywhere. And he was one of the greatest evangelists. And many people came to Christ as a result of his preaching. You know, he was declaring something. He was declaring there's a price to pay for evil. There is an evil in this world that's trying to, you know, destroy you in your own life. And there's a God who has the ability to change all that. And he gave his life so you could have that. And he presented that, you know. And, you know, it had expression through his life, and God moved, and there was a powerful demonstration. He led many to salvation, you know, but that's, as great as that is, you know, and as great as his teachings were after that, that is just the spiritual birth, you know, and that's more like a real birth, you know. As an unbeliever, you know, things went on in my life before I became a believer, you know, and when I understood God, things had happened, and I was prepared for it, you know, and when I received it, you know, it was the end of, you know, 9 months of labor, you know, and that was the birth. I became a Christian, and that was, you know, the end of 9 months of labor, but the first day of a new life, my first day. And that's what salvation is, you know, and so, you know, salvation is like being led to the river, you know, and being cleansed and getting a drink of water, you know, but that's not where it's supposed to stop. That is only the beginning. And so what God wants to do in our lives is to bring an understanding of who He is and who we are. And as we live for Him and press into that, God will show us His power. And so what it's really like, it's like the Industrial Revolution. You know, before the Industrial Revolution came, everything was done by hand, you know, the sewing and all of the manufacturing of goods. But someone came and right to Pawtucket, Rhode Island, you know, where I had my first, you know, pioneer work, where I labored, you know, in the gospel, just a stone's throw from the building. Roger Williams came there and called it the providence of God. You know, I was in Pawtucket. And This guy, I think, from England, brought a water wheel, and he showed us as a nation how to harness the power of the river, and it changed everything in our country. All of a sudden, we weren't sewing things by hand. We had the power of the river, brrr, going through leather goods, sewing them like they're nothing, you know. And what a transformation in our nation. It was amazing. And that is Christianity. And so that's the power of the gospel. And that's what God wants to do. He doesn't want to just lead us to the river and harness it, you know. We go to church today, and it's not the book of Acts, you know. It's not, you know, come to church, hear a sermon, and say, okay, that's nice, you know, and maybe I'll do it, maybe not, and just go about our way and feel like, look at me, you know, I really am, you know, strong believer, you know. I spent 1 hour out of this week, you know, what is there, 148 hours in a week? I spent 1 hour in this week, you know, now I get to go live my 147 hours any way I want, you know. You know, you know, this is what God wants to do in our lives. He doesn't want us to just come to church and get our little fish and get our little glass of water. It's like, I don't know, sometimes it almost seems like feeding time at the zoo, you know, with the seals, you know, you know, and the pastor's up there, here's your fish, and you eat your fish, you drink your little water, and you flap away, you know, and you come back the next week, and you get your little fish and you walk away, you know, and, you know, we're Christians, you know, look at God, you know. God doesn't want that, you know. He wants it to be industrial, like the Industrial Revolution, the Christian Revolution, you know, where we come for that 1 hour and we hear messages, you know, challenging us to a better, stronger commitment, challenging us, you know, like the Great Awakening revivals, challenging us to purity, challenging us to holiness, challenging us to you know, sharing the gospel and evangelism, challenging us, you know, and leaving them and saying, all right, now I have 147 hours to go implement this and try to work this out in my life before I come next week to try to find, you know, encouragement to exceed and excel more in another way, you know. That's church, you know. That's being a Christian, and that's what God wants to do, you know, and that's who we are. You know, that's who we are as Christians, you know, and that's what God wants to do in our lives. He wants us to understand His plan. You know, He wants us to seek Him, you know, and that just doesn't come with just, you know, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, you know. It doesn't just come with, you know, Father, forgive me for I have sinned, you know, and, you know, all these little things we throw off and say, okay, that's my prayer time, you know. He wants us to experience His power. Jesus came with a mission. When He came here, He had a mission. Yeah, He was going to die for the sins of the world. He was going to be the new covenant in His blood, establish that. He was going to make a way so we could get to heaven, thank God, you know. But He also came to search, to seek, and to save. That was His mission. He came searching and seeking and saving. You know, as people, you know, we're all searching for something. You know, there's many that, you know, you're, you know, seeking, you know, a better life, you know, through education, you know, to know more, you know, to have more insight, you know, and you're hoping that will lead, you know, to a better job, perhaps, a better career, you know, a better way of life, you know, and you're seeking that. You know, and some people, you know, you're seeking companionship, you know, you're looking, you know, at these people that are available, looking, you know, for companionship, and you're seeking and you're looking and you're tirelessly searching through, you know, these different groups and different avenues, and you're looking for companionship, you're looking for friendship, you're looking for, and these are all good things. And some people, you're looking for fulfillment in life. What is it that's going to bring me fulfillment? You're looking for satisfaction. What is it that's going to satisfy me? Because you're not experiencing it where you are now. Jesus came to seek and save the lost. And if you're a believer, this is our mission. This was his commission, and he's commissioned us. And his last words were, okay, now I'm leaving now. This is your job. Go seek and save those which are lost, And this was our great commission from him, his military orders, if you will. Okay, these are your orders. Let's go, let's move it. Many of us, we appreciate salvation and we thank God for that. We think we came to know God, we came to find God, but that's not the truth of the matter. We're all lost in sin, and this is who we are, and this was our lives. And Jesus said, you didn't find me. He said, I found you. You were lost, and I came looking for you, and I found you, and it wasn't easy, and I had to look, and I had to go through the mud and disgust of what some of our lives were, before he came into our lives. And he's like, you know what? I did that because I was searching for you, and I was seeking you, and I was going to find you no matter what it took, and he did. Jesus found us, and he brought salvation to our lives, and we're born again, and we're changed. And God forbid that we just take that and do nothing with it, because that's not what he died for. He died for everyone to find salvation. He's like, I gotta go, but I'm going for a reason, and so come on, guys, I need you to do this for me, and so this is his calling. So our calling as believers, if we're going to call ourselves a Christian and look in the mirror and say, who are you? I'm a Christian. This has to be our nature. It has to be. And it's like the movie Saving Private Ryan. They went battlefield to battlefield looking for this guy, Ryan, and I'm sure it didn't end well, but, this is what they were doing, and they went at all costs and risk of their own lives, fighting battle after battle. And that's what this life is. It is a spiritual battle, and it is a war. And we're called, as Christians, to fight in this war. We're also called to fight for others and to seek and save those, that are lost, if you will. And when Jesus came, he said, these are the people that I'm looking for. He says that the meek, the brokenhearted, the bound, the addicted, those that mourn and are hurting, and so there should be something in us. He didn't say I came to look for the proud, the extremely well off, and even though he does, reach out to those, because everyone needs Christ, but these are the ones he came looking for because they had very specific and very easy to see needs. And it was the meek, the ones that are, pushed around and, made to seem like nothing, the brokenhearted, these that have been devastated situations of life, and, those that are addicted. And so when we see that in people's lives around us, a light should come on in our head, and we should say, you know what? I should say something. I should say something to these people. And so that's who Jesus was. He came to seek and save those that are lost. And that's how he wants us to be. I could go on and talk about this, but it looks like my battery's dying. And so I'm just going to quickly finish up and say, if we claim to be Christians and claim to be believers, we need to start acting like it. And if you think that you're peaceful loving and caring, and you are behind these evil groups that are involved in what they're doing, then you're fooling yourself. And so, please, Christian, take a look in the mirror and say, who are you? Please, America, look in the mirror and say, who are you? Please, you know, understand what's going on in life and open your heart to the love and grace of God, because God is watching all of this that's going on. You know, things are getting worse, and I hate to say it, but evil is taking over this country, and we've seen it, since the 50s, taking prayer out of school, all that evil, all the stuff's going on, and so this is the end of the story. And so please open up your hearts and don't be afraid to, to receive what God has for you, because God is love, and this is how love works.